Nobody will tell you these 10 unwritten speedrunning rules that you will be expected to follow. Starting with rule number 1. Don't get too emotional over a world record. No, I'm not talking about the runners who get overly excited when they world record, or even happiness to the point of crying. Because although this can be a bit annoying if done too much, it's mostly wholesome and well deserved. No, I'm talking about bragging and acting like a bitch. Look, there's no better feeling in speedrunning than getting a world record. You're the best in the whole world! But trust me, no one cares about that record quite as much as you do. Granted, the community is very happy that someone was able to push the game's limits once again, so why flex on them? They are already proud that you are the one that accumulated years of hard work into routing and executing the best route in a quality that has never been done before. So if you think about that, bragging doesn't really make any sense. Be proud of your achievement, of course, but understand that your world record is not permanent. Likewise, don't act like a whiny little pagan once you get bopped. Sure, you might have played the game for longer, put in more hours in cumulative time, and maybe your luck wasn't as good as everyone else's. But at one point in history, you need to deal with the fact that someone, somewhere, played better than you. And that's okay, because you can be happy for them and improve your own mindset to climb back up. Which brings me on to rule number 2. There is no such thing as a good speedrun. Only runs that are faster than others. This is an unwritten rule for the audience member and for those new runners in the community who will soon realise that there is always something, somewhere in the run, that could have been better. And let's say your run is unbeatable. There's always the possibility of new strats, 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 making your run obsolete to the new optimizations discovered, hence repeating the quest for perfection again. It is precisely for these reasons why you hear runners complain about their world record runs. Which is precisely why, rule number 3, you compare runners to who they were on their previous PB, not to another runner. Another rule, mainly intended to the audience, but I do believe that a few long-time runners need to hear this piece of advice as well. If your favourite streamer loses their world record, the last thing they want you to do is to go to their comment section and be like,
Ha 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 ha! Wait till the Sammy G beats this. He's the best at this game.
Do you think the Sammy G is looking at you, thinking to themselves,
Ha ha ha! Yeah, you go tell him, random fan who has a parasocial relationship with me?
No. All that does is make your guy look like an asshat, and discourages other people from running the game due to toxicity, hence lowering the competition, hence your runner stops playing the game due to lack of motivation. Well done you! Furthermore, speedrunners have different goals. Some want to get world records, others will happily stop at a certain minute barrier. So please, stop comparing skill from runner to runner, because it's not comparing like to like. On that topic, and yes, I am completely guilty of doing this, backseating. I understand that you only want what's best for the streamer, and a few pointers here and there won't hurt anyone. But my life, there may be a reason why Mr. Streamer may not be doing the strat that is optimal. It's because they're not good enough yet, or they don't want to, so just let it be. One thing that we absolutely cannot allow is rule number 4. Never remove proof from the leaderboards. For one reason or another, a runner may want to delete their run from the leaderboards. If such events happen, usually it's met with ignorance if it's just a placeholder. Or at most, maybe the community thinks, why? Why wouldn't you want to show off a speedrun that you've achieved, no matter the quality? A question we will never know the answer to because quite frankly, no one really cares. What you're absolutely not allowed to do, unofficially of course, is to remove the proof of your time and still keep your ranking on the leaderboard. Because holy moly, could you be exposed for cheating in many years to come. Besides assuming the worst, it's dishonourable. Why wouldn't you want to show off your PB to the greater public? No vid equals no did. Or, God forbid, you're deleting your video for a reason which we will discuss later. Bottom line is, you can't have it both ways. If you want to remove the proof, kiss goodbye to your ranking on the leaderboards. Unless of course you've broken rule number 5. Don't verify your own run. This mainly comes to the smaller communities and to category extensions. I understand this one to a certain point, especially with the games where there are only a handful of players. For fuck's sake, I don't want to wait 3 weeks for an inactive moderator who might not know that much about the game or the category that I am running. Having said that, the only way we can know for sure that no foul play has been made is if another party knows for certain that your run is legit. It also goes without saying that the more skilled you are at the game, the more likely it is that you will get away with cheating. Since you have the trust and the reputation within the gaming community, and you know what a legit run looks like, it just makes your times undetectable. This rule comes from a justifiable paranoia. 99% of players are completely legitimate. In order to catch those malicious 1% of dirty players, we have to hold everyone to the same standard. So please, let another member of the community verify your run. Or at the very least, don't take it personally if someone else wants to give their opinion on a time that you confirmed is real. If you want to help out the community in other ways, however, rule number 6. Write your own notes or don't complain about the ones you are using. I just want to point out a bit of bias with this rule. I have made 2 tutorial videos, 2 speedrunning explaining videos, and pages and pages of notes have been written to help the community with the games that they are being played. I have worked very hard on these resources, which you are free to consume if you want to use them to help you on your speedrunning journey. But please, spare me the hissy fit if there's something there that you do not understand. Look, as a maths tutor, I get it. People will describe things in a way that makes sense to them, even if what they're saying is complete gibberish. This is why you either give them a chance to explain it in a way that we're all on the same page, or, in the case of making notes, learn from multiple sources. If my notes don't make any sense, ask Lulan or Nightfall how certain levels work. Watch Sanguine's video on Stick War if my videos don't make any sense. Or, even better, play the fucking game and learn for yourself how it works. Trust me, it's a lot more rewarding if you have work that you can call your own. Write down your findings and then you can use what you've written down to guide you in future runs. As long as you follow rule number 7, don't use a tool without consulting with the community. As we live through the years, players have become so much better optimizing a category to the point that they enter grey areas to squeeze extra time save. For example, using a calculator to figure out certain variables, a metronome to hit an exact frame, or an auto splitter so that you only focus on the game rather than the timer. Tools are an integral part of speedrunning in the modern day. What I never understand though is when A, someone gets a world record whilst using a tool not discussed in the community prior, hence causing a controversy, or B, when a community knows of a certain tool and no one bothers to bring up a discussion about it until a world record is set whilst using said tool. To avoid this ostrich effect, all we can do is simply say, hey, this is a tool that I've used in my speedruns. Will this be legit according to the leaderboards, and chances are you will get a response then and there. Or it will spark up a debate which, let's be honest, will be inconclusive. A pineapple has better social skills than the speedrunning community. Oh, sorry, that was the completely wrong complaint. Rule number 8, keep your complaints about RNG to a minimum. And I just want to hold my hands up and say, I have broken this rule more times than I care to admit. No one is denying that luck isn't a factor to achieve top times. You can play the game frame perfectly and still get shafted by something completely out of your control. RNG is the killer of so many runs, but having said that, a skilled player can adapt to non-ideal circumstances. Look, in most luck-based games, someone in the community has to have the worst luck, and as someone who has held that title unanimously in multiple games, it's a very destructive mindset. It's so deflective, like everything else is at fault rather than yourself. Everyone gets unlucky, everyone goes through a reset drought, and everyone has something that will make them say, "Fuck this game.
Fuck this game.
Fuck this game.
Fuck this game.
But there have also been times where you've been very lucky too. And you're never grateful about that because it's the expected outcome. So please, resist throwing the excess tantrums on your bad RNG. Because although it's funny once in a while, sometimes it's not the game that's the problem. Rule number 9. Try not to pause your timer in an IGT run. Categories are usually timed in one of two ways. RTA, or real-time attack, times the total time that occurs between when you start the run and when you finish the run. IGT, or in-game time runs, only measure the time you spend in-game. Usually, the game being played has an inbuilt timer for such events. Even though RTA seems like common sense, there are many valid reasons why the latter is used. For example, in some Sonic games, it is actually faster to play poorly due to quicker times scoring higher, hence longer cutscenes. In some games, playing IGT is used to remove any loading time when verifying runs. The point here is that IGT runs have their place. What this means though, is that when a runner were to pause their game mid-speedrun, it would pause their timer. Which means they are literally spending longer on the run, but technically they're not playing the game, so no time is wasted. Again, there are valid reasons why this could happen. Sometimes, pause buffering can lead to some cool tricks, such as in Payday 2, where it can help you skip parts of a heist. In other games, you can pause to adjust your settings to allow certain mechanics to work. But pause abusing because you want to take a break, you want to read your notes, or you're nervous that you're on good pace and you want to calm your nerves is absolutely unacceptable in the eyes of many. It is for these reasons that pausing your game on an IGT run should be avoided where necessary. And if you insist on wanting to take a break mid-run, try playing Breath of the Wild 100%. And finally, rule number 10. The most controversial rule, if you break it. Don't strat hide. Speedrunning is not player versus player, it's player versus game. And the game is winning until an unbeatable world record is achieved. So what some runners will do is get a world record with a strategy that is completely foreign to the community. Then, when an up-and-coming challenger wants to try and bop the record, the holder will keep quiet about the tricks being used in order to hold their record for as long as possible. Sometimes going as far as to delete proof of the record just to hide the strategies from other people. On the surface, this seems like a really ambitious player, proud of their art and wanting to keep their jewel for as long as possible. Whereas in reality, this is a really pussy mindset. As if you know you're not the most skilled player in the world, so you have to play at an advantage. If anything, one could argue that the world record becomes that much more worthless, because people within the game know exactly how impressive the time is due to the precision needed to use the strats. But we don't know the strat, so how can we say that? But arguably, a worse version of strat hiding is record sniping. No, I don't mean someone beats a record and then 10 hours later, the record is lowered again. I mean someone beats a record, keeps quiet about it, and then only posts set record once the existing world record has been beaten again. Imagine the blood, sweat and tears you put into a game to beat an optimized time they say could never be beat, only to find out it was never the record to begin with, and your speedrun that you spent countless hours on is just another brick in the wall. As you can see, there are many reasons why strat hiding doesn't benefit anyone, and is perhaps the most important unwritten rule in the speedrunning community.